What is happening, guys? Welcome back to the World Class Basics podcast. It's me, Tom, back in the building. I hope you enjoyed last week's episode on maintaining motivation. Who have I got with me? Well, you know who I've got with me. Mr. PH Nutrition, Liam Holmes. Say hello.
Hello there.
Okay, Irish Liam. And we got Mr. Wade himself. Adam French, how are we doing?
Oh, top of the morning to you. How are you there?
Oh, that's awful.
Horrendous.
It's better than
Horrendous.
Liam.
I wouldn't even mean it to be.
I'm wearing my Irish green as well. So, you know.
Yeah.
Every Irish person listened has now just pressed stop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I need to manage my expectations on how good an Irish accent I can do. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh.
Brilliant. So, guys,
What's happening, P? How are you? How's the home gym? Before we start, how's the home gym?
like honestly, it's getting out of hand. It is really getting out of hand, and I need to stop buying things because this is only a 4-week lockdown. Like, I should have done this last lockdown, and I'm gonna have a fully fledged 24-hour fitness in here in about 2 weeks, and then we're gonna have to go back to work.
Right, I'll come in on your Facebook marketplace to get all the
Mate, literally December 2nd, I'm gonna turn into Del Boy, wheeler dealer, like literally.
Oh, mate, love it. Love it.
No,
Mate, lads, by the way, before we start, if I start sweating, my missus has just turned heat on and it's so hot in my office here. Like, I'm absolutely sweating. I might have to declothe halfway through this.
I tell you what, it's lucky you put a t-shirt on AirPods on, because when you first came on, you had a vest on. I literally thought I was FaceTiming myself. Right, hey, focus. So today's pod's going to be short and sharp and sweet, guys. Managing expectations in nutrition, training, business, and in life. And we're going to talk about a couple tips and points that we've all dealt with and what we do for our professions, and hopefully that can help managing your expectations as you go through probably one of the toughest years of your lives. So let's fire away. I'm just going to fire at the hip. Let's go, Liam. Managing expectations with nutrition. Talk to us about, what your clients say to you. Hey, dude, I want to lose 5 kilos in 3 weeks. How do you deal with that when they literally throw something so unrealistic at you, unless you want to put them on?
Yeah, we don't stick them on the Peter Kay diet, lose, 20 kilos in a day or something. But mate, it's a very common thing for us to get inquiries about, about nutrition coaching. And then when we question what's your goal, it's always lose fat, gain muscle, get stronger, all at the same time. And usually that wants to be achieved in about 4.5 days. So it is tough to kind of manage people's expectations, because from a nutrition point of view, having it all is very challenging. And from a nutrition perspective, people see maybe on Instagram, or they've seen their friends or other people at the gym. And I think the CrossFit environment is has been fantastic in terms of changing people's perceptions of body composition, but it's also can be, I think, a little bit detrimental sometimes when people first step into this environment. Now, from a nutrition point of view, it's really about breaking down kind of like their expectations and trying to identify what their core goal is, what their primary area of focus, and that's what we would try and do. So if someone comes to us, it would be like, oh, I want to lose fat, gain muscle. Now, you need to look at their starting point, and you need to kind of say like, well, what's going to be the smallest change to make the biggest effect? Now, a lot of the time it would be just getting stronger. Like, if people focus on getting stronger and eating for performance, then usually other things start to kind of fall into place. So, what we would try and do then is just to manage people's expectations from a timeline point of view, and kind of set them on that kind of initial pathway to be like, right, what's gonna make them feel good, from a nutrition point of view, rather than just making them hate life, be hungry all the time, and then just kind of like stop following any kind of diet that we give them after 5 days. Okay. So
have you got management expectations in terms of like, you've got to be quite realistic with them? Otherwise, if they come to you and say, I want to lose a stone, and you say, well, you're not going to do that, I suppose you could be potentially losing business because they were like, well, I want to lose a stone, so I'm going to go with the next guy or girl who's going to talk to me. So you kind of, you got sometimes sort of say no to business because of that.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like I mean, I have definitely lost clients because I'm not like, yeah, that can 100% be done. You know, we can definitely lose, 9 kilos in 21 days. Like, because our programs, they're not 6 week fat loss, 6 week strength. It's kind of like Ronsil, kind of does what it says in the tin. It hasn't got some fancy name like Ignite or Burn or something like that. So what we do is we manage people's expectations, because usually it is 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks even to kind of make a real kind of like 30-day challenges we do run, but like it's still a month to make a change, and that change can sometimes be relatively small. So we do have to, like, say, put that timeline, manage that timeline expectation, because I think you can, people can lose a stone, that's no problem, but that time frame of when you want to achieve that, that's the thing that we need to manage. And I think that's what I want people to kind of understand, that anything can be done. It's just how much are you willing to kind of commit to the process. So from a fat loss point of view, it can happen. I think you can lose fat relatively quickly, but muscle gain and strength point of view, that's probably the hardest thing that we have to kind of manage people's expectations on. And it takes a long time to build strength. It takes a long time to build muscle. So we do have to. That's probably one of the most challenging things.
Okay, so here we go. I'm going to be a customer calling in to you. Just go and manage my expectations on how you would deal with me. Okay, so I've called you. Hey, Liam. Look, I want to lose 5 kilos, dude, in 4 weeks. I'm going to Ibiza, and I want to look shredded. Okay, for my one photo that I'm going to take for IG. I have an office job, 9 to 5 office job, and I train 3 times a week. How do we do this? What should I do?
Well, Luke, what's your starting weight? What's your starting body composition?
Yes, sorry. So starting weight, I am 80 kilos. I'm 6 foot. Yeah. And I'm sitting currently, I believe, I did it on one of those machines, 17 to 18% body fat.
Okay. Look, so you're not in bad shape. 17, 18%, 80 kilos, 6, that's decent. So to lose 5 kilos in, how long did you want it? 4 weeks.
I'm on that flight in 4 weeks.
So if you break that down, that's over a kilo a week. Okay, well, 1.25 kilos a week. Like, that's relatively quick to lose that much weight. Now, you also, what you want to be looking at is you want to be looking shredded. You don't want to be looking skinny fat. So we want to maintain muscle mass as much as possible. So I would probably have to manage expectations in terms of, we can 100% lean, get you leaner and feeling leaner, looking stronger for that photo. But putting an actual number on it, so 5 kilos, like, where did you get 5 kilos? Like, why do you think 5 kilos is
I love that.
We'd have a discussion about that number. Like, where did you pluck it out? Is it just because it's a round number or whatever? So if you lost, probably at your body composition and whatever, if you lost 2 kilos, 3 kilos even, and that could be done, you would look a lot leaner, and you would feel a lot better, but you wouldn't have, sacrificed your social life and lifestyle and training for the last 4 weeks, just to, like, say, go to Ibiza with a shell of a man.
I'm absolutely buzzing that you homed in onto the number, why 5 kilos, because especially in my experience, it's one of the first things a client will say to me. They just throw a number out of nowhere. And they've just got it in their head. I want to lose 10 pounds, and they've not really thought about why. And so what you've just said is absolutely perfect. Let's maybe focus on the body composition. Let's keep some muscle mass here. We can get you strong, and you can still look ripped at the same time. It's not just a number, and I love that. And I always try and, as well, talk to my clients about, don't fixate on the number. Get rid of the scales. Look, all right, if we're talking morbidly obese, then you do need to get them down to a certain level, right? But when we're talking this kind of example, which is happening more and more, just go with the look in the mirror test, for God's sake.
Yeah, massively, man.
Here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to install. Here's the nutrition program. Here's your training program. Take a photo day one in the mirror in your pants, okay? Or whatever you want to do. Keep it to yourself, or send it to your missus, or put it away. In 4 weeks' time, you're going to take the exact same photo at the exact same time with the exact same lighting, and I promise you it'll look better. And I don't give a fuck if it's the same number on the scales. And that's what I want people. That's how we should be thinking now. This numbers game. This numbers game is wrong.
It comes from like old school Weight Watchers, doesn't it? Like lose 10 pounds in 10 weeks, or it's just clickbait. It's easy for people to say a number and get people to buy up to their plans, but it doesn't work, does it? So
exactly. And I get it. Go on, Liam.
Go on, bud.
I was just going to say, like, in extreme circumstances, clearly you do sometimes, say if someone is 115 kilos, there you do have to put some kind of target weights to get them to somewhere. But in the average or normal circumstance, you just forget about what the scales say, is my advice. That's the first expectation to give out.
Definitely, mate. Like, could not agree more. And look, I'm not to say that people shouldn't put objective markers on there. Like, say if you're 101 kilos and you want to get sub 100, like that's cool. Like, put that target on there. But constantly, and having that as your kind of like focus point or an expectation to reach a certain weight because for whatever reason, I just think it's it's a tiny bit unhealthy. For us, if anyone looks at our Instagram, I posted a while back. I'm called hashtag Team No Pants. So I've never posted a before and after picture on our Instagram or social media. Just I don't, although I think they're so useful, which is a bit weird to say. But we don't kind of just say like focus on body composition. Like it's something that a visual thing is fantastic, but like you said, put it away, send it to your missus, stick it on your phone. It's for you. It's for you and your coach potentially to kind of look at. If you want to post it on social media, then fire away. But a visual representation is so powerful. And I think that's the thing. But then you can look to more kind of performance aspects as well. So look, I'm sure I'm going to talk from my experience before I ask you boys. Look, from a performance point of view, managing expectations from training, like now I've had to kind of massively lower my expectations of A, what I can do, and B, what I want to achieve. So, before I got married and stuff, I think I managed to sneak just up in the top 500 in the UK for males in the Open. I think I was just there. Maybe I was just over, and I wanted to get into the top 500. But I was super fit. I was training twice a day. Like it was ridiculous. But I had that expectation. I was like, well, I want to get there. But now to even think of doing that, but people still, I'm sure they come to you, Tom, and maybe add. They reach out to you when they actually come in about whey protein and the effects of that. Like, guys, talk about how you can manage that, because for me, I've had to massively lower my expectations, and it's been tough, but even just talking to a few people, it's been really helpful.
I think sometimes being polite and treading on eggshells with people is the right way, and with this, I think being as brutally honest as possible is the right way. And there's been a couple of times now this year, especially, that our clients they've just asked us something totally unrealistic with the circumstances and everything that's going on. And you just have to say, look, listen, that's not going to happen. But here's what we can do in this time frame, okay? And this is how we're going to implement it. I feel like, especially, let's use weightlifting for an example, okay? Everyone goes through training cycles and have a coach or follow some form of program, and 9 times out of 10 you'll set yourself a goal to get 90 kilos snatch, and you're currently on 80 kilos, which in the snatch world is a big jump. 1 kilo in a snatch on a PB is a big thing. With other numbers, it's not, right? Now, usually, say there was no coronavirus and there was no gym closes, I think with a steady structured training program 3 or 4 times a week with a coach, or go into CrossFit lessons and classes, I think, and you boys tell me if you think otherwise, but I think that could be very realistic in a 3 to 4 month window, maybe less.
3 to 4 months. Yeah, yeah.
10 kilos on a
3 to 4
snatch. And
months.
I know in other lifts it could be a lot quicker, but like I said, that's how I would say it to my client. Now, if they still told me that they want to do that in this circumstance, in this environment, but they can only come and train with me once a week, and then all they're doing then is bodyweight stuff at home, it's just never going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's trying
I
to
think
find,
that's a big thing, isn't it?
so I'm just going to finish. So it's trying to, okay, so you want that goal. I can't give you that goal, but what I can do is we are going to make your mobility for snatching unbelievable in the next couple of weeks or months. And when we can start hitting some tin and some heavy numbers, watch what happens. You're going to be catching the snatch so beautifully because you focused on mobility. Yeah. And that's how you can flip it. And that's how you should be thinking if you're in that position right now.
Yeah, like, yeah, what can you do rather than what can't you do at the moment is a massive focus point. I do think that there's an expectation reality mismatch sometimes with clients. Like guys, why do you think that, you know, when we see clients, and we're not hammering everybody, by the way, like saying that everybody's got these unrealistic goals, but do you think it's a lack of education? Like, because we know, like, maybe the science behind it, like what it actually takes to lose body fat, what it actually takes to build muscle, the process that actually happens. Like, a massive part of what we try to do is educate people in terms of that. So I think when you understand the process of actually what it does, maybe, you know, is that why sometimes people have this like mismatch in terms of like, oh, I could stick 15 kilos on my snatch if I train once a month. You know, like,
I think it's got to be
what it is.
It's social media is one big problem of it. I think you see what you see on social media. We spoke about in the last series. I think we talked about when we talked about steroids. Actually, I think it was what you see on social media isn't necessarily what they do in real life. You know, so for example, you might have someone who's shredded, will train for 4 or 5 hours a day to look like that. They don't drink alcohol. They don't have any food that they want to have. They're basically super strict, super boring life to look like that for an image. But then when they put up a workout, oh, this is what I worked out today, it's like a 10-minute AMRAP. It's like, well, that's not realistic. So people do the AMRAP, do that one workout a day, follow these people's programming, which isn't what they actually do, and expect to lift like them. But also, you've got to remember that I remember someone telling me in the CrossFit world, only 10% of people that do CrossFit entered the Open last year. So the people that you see online that are doing CrossFit, that are snatching, that's only a 10% proportion of the market. So that's an unrealistic viewpoint of what actually CrossFit is. 90% of the people are just going to the gym, just enjoying it. I think that scares people away in terms of unrealistic expectations of, oh, should I join a CrossFit gym? Well, I'm not going to be able to snatch. I don't want to. Most programming doesn't even have snatch in it. So I think, and it all comes from social media where you don't have to tell the truth. You can just post whatever you want for your own potential personal gain. But
it's a highlight reel, and you always just seeing PBs. And by the way, I absolutely love that, and I've preached that out before. I actually love seeing people's success on social media. I think it's absolutely amazing. I want to see more of it. But then it does. The negative, I suppose, from that is it does give you a false sense of the time and effort it takes to get to that point. Because that person might have posted something on March 1st, and then on March 28th, they posted something 10 kilos heavier or X, Y, Z. You don't realize that they've literally changed 6 days a week, 2 hours a day. Yeah. They haven't had a drop of alcohol. They've been doing their run WOD. They've been doing everything. You have to really delve into what got them to that point. But only on their Instagram, you've seen March 1st, 90 kilo snatch, March 28th, 100 kilo snatch, or whatever. I keep using snatches, but you know what I'm saying. So it's a tough one, right?
Have you been working on snatch recently? Is it in your head or something?
Yeah. And living room PBC, that's what I want to see.
It's a slow process. I don't know what it is with me and snatch.
It is.
Like, literally.
It is, mate. It is a slow process.
It's
like building. Like, for me, like I say, expectations from a training point of view, guys. Like, if you are thinking of like building muscle, okay, it is a slow process. It takes a serious amount of time. It takes a serious amount of effort. It takes a serious amount of dedication and structured training and nutrition. Like, to gain muscle, your training is probably a little bit more important than your nutrition. So if you need to be willing to put the work in, like, it's so hard to do. And like you say, you see people on Instagram do, in incredible shape, but we don't know, if that what they've been using or whatever. But on the flip side of that, in terms of getting lean, I think it's a little bit easier to do that, or you can do it in a shorter time frame than gaining muscle. So if you are looking to build strength and muscle, like you said, Tom, it's 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
It's not 3 to 4 weeks, but that's 3 to 4 months of being dedicated at it.
Yeah.
You know, and like you say, go back to social media, like people come to us and want 6-pack, they want lean, but you know, like you say, you've got to realize that these people have, you know, the before and after pictures, yeah, they say it's 3 weeks, but it could be 3 months, and they could walk out, you know, after 3 months with an eating disorder and no social life, and you know, it's do you really want that? Because that's sometimes the cost. And I think if a few people that have got really lean, like people that we know, they would all say it was so challenging, and from a you know, a hormone point of view, I didn't have any sex drive, I didn't have any social life, my mood was lower than a snake's belly the whole time, like whatever it is. And is it worth it? Is it worth it? You know, is it worth it for that snapshot, or that, you know, 1 week that you can walk around at that body composition where you can get a 6-pack? Or if you actually managed your expectations in the correct way, that you could be really fit, still have a social life, still be, you know, good company around your family and your friends and your missus or your husband or your boyfriend, whatever, but then still enjoy your training. Like, I think for me, that expectation of having everything is
I think it's more like I think the word you need to use is realistic as well. I think I talk about social media, I don't hate it, I use it all the time, but I think it's not a realistic image of what people are like. So if you're looking for like a gym hashtag or CrossFit or Snatch hashtag or whatever, it's showing you the people that are at the top, that's got the most likes. It's not showing you a realistic snapshot. I think for me, it's about stop comparing yourself, stop trying to be these other people. If I was a client was coming to me and they were saying, I want to do this, I want to look like that, stop comparing yourself to these people. Like, just worry about yourself, try and beat your own goal, try and get better individually rather than trying to compete with other people. Like, no one cares whether you're better than them or not. They care that you're a nice person, that you're stop worrying about trying to beat those other people, you know?
Yeah. I think my kind of big take home tip for people is I think this is where the value of having a coach or a trained professional working with someone like that, you know, is really great, because it, you know, if I, like you're using Max from WIT for your weight, you know, for your weightlifting or whatever. And, you know, if I wanted to follow something structured, and, you know, I'd reach out to you or one-on-one, because that person can then, you can work with them, and you can have that conversation to be like, dude, this is unrealistic, or actually, can I achieve this? And sometimes you might see more accelerated progress, but having that conversation with the trained professional, because they have the education understanding of actually what's achievable, I think probably that's the biggest thing, rather than just trying to come up and pick a goal out of nowhere. Like, if you're at the CrossFit gym, talk to the coaches, talk to the owners. You know, if you're, you know, in a certain environment, like, get advice from a trained professional, because that's going to allow you to you know, set realistic and achievable goals. So that would be my real take home point for everybody.
I mean, the same works in business as well. Like, no, we don't really talk about business too much, but the same.
We're going to talk about business. We're going to talk about business. I was going to come to you about business.
Well, I was going to say, I'll say it now then. But is that, like, unless you're like 30 under 30, or you're a millionaire, or you feel like you're getting pressure that you're not on the front of Forbes, or that you're not a Gymshark, or you're not taking on £100 million investment, there's also that pressure for business owners out there for the exact same reason that there are pressure for individuals to look a certain way. And I think what by not having a realistic expectation about actually what is real life business, there's millions of businesses in the UK, 0.1% are over 1 million, is to just focus on yourself, focus on what you're doing as a business. I mean, when I first started Wade, I was like, oh, I want to be the biggest brand, I want to be this.
Wait, Adam, I'm going to ask you a question. So, expectations, real life example. Talk to us about Wade this year, managing your expectations at the start of the year, Corona hit, and how it is now. I just want to throw that in there, because it sounds like you're about to answer it for me.
Well, I actually wasn't, but it's a good question. Thank you, reporter. I think for me, the expectation is that when coronavirus hit as a sports supplement business, that we were going to be fucked because the gym's shut. We're people aren't going to be working out. They're not going to be taking supplements. We're in trouble here. So you kind of expect the worst. But the reason why I expect the worst is because in business, and this is not being me pessimistic, everything goes wrong, especially in a product-based business. The supplier's late, the packaging's wrong. And that, again, now it doesn't affect me as much because I kind of expect the worst every day. And then if that doesn't happen, then it's been a good day. So you kind of have to be quite pessimistic in a way, if that makes sense. It's not a very positive frame of life, but without that resilience, without
realistic.
that... Sorry?
Realistic,
yeah. And I think for us, we knew it was going to be a hard year. I think the one sort of good thing about coronavirus is we were kind of all in the same situation, but we all knew it was going to be really fucking tough. And actually, for me, our business is much better off because we've had to double down, work twice as hard. And I think businesses are much better for it now. They got lazy before coronavirus. I think the people that are still in business have had to add twice as much value to stay in business. And I think the customers are getting much better products, whether that be from myself or from any other business in other sectors. And I think it's actually really allowed the bigger brands to wake up and think, okay, actually the bigger brands need to reset their expectations now that consumers want to hear. Do you remember when we were getting like emails from CEOs? Like everyone was joking around like, oh, I know coronavirus has hit because I've had an email from every single CEO of every single business. Like, hi Adam, it's John, CEO of Sainsbury's. You wouldn't normally hear from the CEO of Sainsbury's. They shouldn't be waiting for coronavirus to hit. But it's been tricky. But over the years, I've managed my expectations better as we've gone along. And then, which unfortunately has been, again, a bit pessimistic, but expect the worst.
It's really interesting to hear that, especially from you two both, because obviously your business has been set up and they're fully fledged now. And for such a tough year for you both, right? Well, it could have been such a tough year. That's why I wanted to understand your thought process. Did you think, right, okay, it's all about, just maintenance and trying not to get myself in a hole here, or am I going to have to lay people off? Or that's what I was trying to, like, was that in your mindset? Like, fuck, what's going to happen here? Did you just, right, adapt? Here's how we're going to do it. Okay, here's how I'm going to still supply gyms and people, and it's just very interesting.
You kind of, because you're in it, you don't really realize what you've done. You just have to get your head down and do it. I mean, we don't have a massive team. I mean, Liam works with more sort of people than I would do, but I luckily haven't been in that situation where I have to try and furlough loads of staff. I've just been like, right, I'm just going to do it myself and get on and just get it done. But maybe Liam, you might have a bit more insight about what it's like working with, having that fear of, fuck, I'm going to have to let someone go or something.
Yeah, it's challenging. Like my coach is self-employed, so it's really hard because similar to you, T, like, people maybe didn't see at the start the emphasis on nutrition, so you saw a bit of a drop off. Same with like, disposable income. You start to kind of go to the essentials. But man, I read a quote, like I can't even remember the exact quote, but it was from James Dyson, and he was on a podcast about how have you ever used the podcast How I Built This? Yeah, mate. Go back to the early ones. They're so good. James Dyson was on there and he said this quote and he was like, when everyone else around you slows down, that's the time to accelerate. And I was just like, you know what I mean? Because there's times when people gonna slow down, whether that's Christmas, whether that's leading into certain times. I don't know. Whenever it is, there'll be times when people go like, and I was like, I mean, I went into a little bit of a hole in the first lockdown for the first week or whatever, like everybody did. But I was like, this is it. This is my time to accelerate. Like everybody around me is going to be worrying or panicking or whatever. And I was like, let's just full throttle this.
Yeah.
And it's been amazing. And I openly say it to a lot of my, to my missus and a few others, like coronavirus was the best thing that ever happened to my business.
It's funny you say that. There's a lot of people who've said that actually.
It's been the best thing. It's allowed me.
It's allowed you. It's giving you time, right, to all those amazing. And don't get me wrong, like let's just get it straight. Coronavirus is a fucking horrendous thing.
Yeah.
It's ruining the world. But I'm a firm believer of find the positive out of any situation. So when you hear us say that we benefited from coronavirus, no, it's just the truth. This meant that Liam's knuckled down, Adam's knuckled down. I've knuckled down in a crappy situation, and we found the way out of that hole. So let's just make sure we get that across there.
Yeah, definitely.
It's the truth. It's the truth, you know.
It is the truth, and it was something that, for me, you know, maybe talking about expectations of my business, it's very challenging to kind of put like, what do I expect? But I was just using coronavirus to be like, say, like, it's a time for me to really double down, and it kind of goes back to expectations of, like, I'm going to try and drop another quote here. Nothing worth having was ever achieved without effort. So for me, I'm like, I needed to put so much effort into something. And I think people can sometimes think that they can achieve something like a six-pack, a muscle gain or whatever, without really that much effort. And actually, it takes a lot of graft. So the expectations is that you have to really, really work hard. And I'm not blowing my own trumpet here, but
no, this is amazing.
To do, you know, in Corona, in the first lockdown, like, I really, really, really buried myself.
Well, I think the business is better for it now. Like the PH Hub, for example, like there's loads of content on there now. Would that have been there? Would it have been there that quickly? Would it have been there at all? Like, I think there's so many businesses now that have much better businesses in tough times. And there's a lot of businesses that were completely crap and they've had to leave, and people have realised that they were crap, and they're like, "Sorry, mate, you've got to go." So I think
it was proper fight or flight, right? Proper fight or flight. It was either you're gonna go under, or you're gonna not just manage it or do okay. You're gonna come out of this amazing. And I've seen that. I've seen some people and businesses that have gone under because you know, like, they didn't bear themselves or circumstances X, Y, Z. But then I've seen this fight or flight mode where they're like, I could lose my job, or I might not be able to pay rent, and that right there is a driver. Whoa!
And I yeah. Sorry, bro. No, sorry, bro. That was me cutting in.
And I was like, so what can I get off the government in terms of, like, because I found this weird bracket of just becoming self-employed. You couldn't have universal credit. You got savings. You can't pay as you earn for. And I was like, said to him, I was like, so what can I do? He's like, well, you're pretty much in a tough spot, and that's your accountant saying you're fucked. So I was like, okay, game on, life challenge, let's go. So
the expectation we have now is that the government will fuck us. So they are not here to support us now. We didn't get anything. All they said to us was like, well, you can get a loan, and I was like, what, put my business even more debt? Like, if you're giving the gyms money and we're supplying the gyms, why the fuck are you not giving us any money? Like, it's just madness. Like, the pubs are getting money, but the beer suppliers that supply the pubs don't get any money. It's just the expectation.
We could turn this pod into a 3-hour Joe Rogan special if we carry on this route.
Right.
Time out. Key, I was the same. I got nothing off the government, but I also had, like, in lockdown, I was like, oh, I've got nothing off the government. My income's come down, and I've got a son being born in like 3-4 months. Mrs. is going to go on maternity leave. I was just like, oh no, if I don't graft here, I was like, we got, you know, you got to pull something out of the bag. But it's good. It's good chat. Like I say, expectations is
no, definitely.
It's something it's quite a wide topic. So
it's quite funny because guys, before we started this pod today, we said, right, guys, let's keep it to 15 minutes. But I feel this has flowed because, you know, we've talked about real life things that have happened, and I'm sure some of the things we talked about today have literally happened to you guys as well. So hopefully we've given you some insights on how to manage these situations and your goals and what's happened over the last year. And hopefully it's going to help you manage what's going to happen next year now, and where you can focus this energy and your creativity, and what you can focus on instead of focusing on the things you can't have or do anymore. So hopefully that's what we've given you. I feel honestly that's what I've taken away from talking to you boys. So let's talk about next week. I'm excited. Not next week. It's going to be Sunday. Let me talk about Sunday. Liam, who we got coming on the show?
Got our first guest, lads. First guest appearance. So yeah, we are going to be recording a podcast with one of my coaches, Chloe. She's a coach at CrossFit Shakespeare's. She's been doing a case study on herself in terms of kind of what we would call lean gains. So again, really kind of a kind of prevalent topic about expectations, because a lot of females have certain expectations about how they look or train, etc. But yeah, Chloe's kind of done a case study on this. So we have been documenting that on our blog, but she's going to come on and talk all things female nutrition and training. She's going to talk about her story. She's going to talk about what she's currently doing, and we're going to deep dive into, like I say, all things female health and nutrition.
It's really good. I follow it every week. It's brilliant. Really, really good.
Yeah, so it's going to be great stuff. Looking forward to it.
Ooh, it's going to be a good one. Right. So there we go, guys. Season 2 is well underway. We've talked about motivation last week. This week was managing expectations, and now we've got Coach Chloe coming on. I can't wait for that. It's going to be amazing. Talking all things female nutrition, training, the whole shebang. I can't wait. Guys, email us some questions. All right. You were lazy last week. We only had 3. So info@worldclassbasics.com. All right. And if you email in saying that me and Liam are brothers, because somebody keeps emailing that in as well, and it's doing my head in. Yes, we understand this, that we look alike, but ask us some questions, okay? So we can actually answer them on the show. But otherwise, guys, please like, share, follow World Class Basics pod on Instagram. We're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, we're on everything, okay? But apart from that, I think we'll say goodbye and speak soon. Cheers, boys.
See you, lads.
Bye.